This is the Kawasaki Z800, the younger brother of a bike we like very much, the Z1000. And like the Z1000, this too gets an inline 4-cylinder engine, and it has ABS. But that's where the similarities end, because this isn't as good looking as the Z1000, and as on paper, it's not as light as well. But that's not the Z800's biggest problem. Its biggest problem is its competition. When you have bikes like the Triumph Street Triple in the market that cost round about the same as the Z800, then the Z800 must excel. If it doesn't, then it won't survive. And that's what we're going to find out, whether it does or it doesn't. The Z800 has that aggressive and muscular look which every street naked must possess. But it isn't executed in a way which will have you nodding in appreciation. The headlamps stand out, of course, and there's enough bulk and creases and change in surfaces which give the Z800 both brawn and athleticism. But it doesn't look cutting edge or modern enough. Seating is straight out of a street naked handbook. Flat and wide handlebar, slightly rear set foot pegs, and a massive tank to lock your knees in. But the seat height is a tad high, and unless you learn to take the weight off that handlebar, the seating never really feels comfortable. Then there's the weight. The Z800 weighs 231 kgs, which is heavier than its larger engined, more powerful and costlier sibling, the Z1000. This weight can be felt the moment you get the Z800 off its stand. It isn't pleasant. Even when rolling slowly, there's more effort involved in riding the Z800 than it should be. This is a street naked. It ought to be easier to ride. But the Z800 is a torquey machine, and it easily has the smoothest, most predictable throttle response on any bike we have ridden. It's child's play in that sense, but to take it for granted would be a huge mistake. But more on that a little later. First, let's tell you what we think is the Z800's USP. Its tractability. You can do 30 km per hour in 6th with the engine turning at under 2000 RPM, and there is no stutter or the threat of stalling. Hit 4000 RPM and the bike wakes up. Hold that throttle pinned and within seconds you're literally hanging on to those bars, for the Z800 just keeps pulling and pulling like a locomotive. And the engine, it only sounds sweeter and more refined with the rising revs. And then you would soon run out of courage or road. Just to put things in perspective, you're looking at a motorcycle that can do 30 to 230 km per hour in one gear. It's almost like an automatic. This performance of the Z800 is down to its inline 4-cylinder liquid-cooled and fuel-injected 806cc engine. The engine uses an over-square layout, which allows it to rev to 12,000 RPM, and quickly at that. It makes 113 PS at 10,200 RPM, and the peak torque of 83 Nm arrives at 8,000 RPM. But we're willing to bet the way this engine pulls from lower revs, a healthy chunk of that 83 Nm of torque is available lower and all across the rev range. This Kawasaki, given its weight, will still surprise you with its ability to go around corners. It isn't superbike sharp, and around a series of quick corners, one must work that handlebar hard to get it to tip in. But once it's tipped in, it feels stable, communicative, and reassuring. Then there are the brakes. These do have a fair bit of play before the pads actually start biting the disc, but when they do, the bite, the feel, and the progression is so well tuned, never did the ABS come off, no matter how hard we brake. Yes, the Z800 also comes with ABS as standard. The Kawasaki Z800 is like a song from Rahman. It takes time to grow on you, but once you get hooked, you just can't get enough of it. We couldn't get enough of it, even though we went berserk with it all day long. Not only does the Z800 have a strong and lively engine, it handles beautifully, and then it brakes even better. Moreover, with its fairly upright seating, a nice ride quality, and no real heating issues whatsoever, it makes for a good bike to ride to work or to simply take off on a long jaunt. The Kawasaki Z800 to us isn't perfect, or the best street naked one can buy for Rs 8 lakhs or thereabouts, but it sure is worth considering. We know we would.